Hi, I'm Maxwell Smith with Scholastic News, and I'm here at the Hue-Man Bookstore in Harlem, New York, to interview authors Victoria Bond and T.R. Simon about their new book, Zora and Me. Ms. Bond, in Zora and Me, Zora has two friends named Teddy and Carrie. Were these people real childhood friends of Zora's?
Actually, they were real childhood friends of Zora. In her autobiography, Dust Tracks on the Road, she mentions both of them. And actually, at the beginning of the book, there's a funny story. She thinks that the moon only follows her. And she kind of makes a bet with her friend Carrie. And unfortunately, Zora finds out that the moon also follows her friend as well, that she's not the center of the universe.
How did you go about creating these characters?
When Tanya first pitched the idea to me and we were talking about how we would show the world a young Zora, we both felt like it was kind of sacrilege to try to write in Zora herself's shoes. You know, that Zora is such a beloved historical figure that it didn't seem right for us to try to write as Zora. But then we came up with this idea, this kind of the loving gaze, you know, the gaze of the friend, this gaze of admiration, and that's the voice that we think and the character, the narrative device that we relied on.
Miss Simon, the experiences that the main characters have involving Ghost the alligator are very interesting. How realistic are the events in the story?
I think they're pretty realistic. I think that in Florida people wrestle gators. And it's a kind of a strange thing to imagine, but it's something they do to pass the time. I guess in Vermont they're cow tipping. In Florida they're gator wrestling. So we tried as much as possible to stick to events that could happen in the real world. So there's no like magical realism. There are no flights of fancy in the book. And we also tried to stick to the world that Zora actually lived in when she was a child. So we put as many details as we could of what that world would have been like.
Ms. Bond, why did you decide to write the book with Miss Simon?
It just seemed like such a fun thing that we could do together. In all honesty, you know, Tanya came up with the idea and she shared it with me. And so first, it was a fun thing that we could do together. You know, I'm sure, you know, Max, I don't know what you do with your friends, but as you grow older, you know, you want to do more together than just kind of go to the movies and go shopping. You know, you want to cultivate a bond that lasts. And I think us writing this book together was doing just that. This was kind of like our version of, you know, playing baseball on a Saturday afternoon, but we wrote a book.
I really love collaborating, and a lot of times people sort of see writing as a solitary endeavor, and I find it really difficult to write just by myself in a vacuum. So I wanted to share that experience with somebody. Also, I felt like Zora was too big for me to tackle alone when I had the idea, so I made Vicki come over. And I love Vicki's writing, so it was pretty easy for me to call her over and force her to do it with me, pretty much.
Ms. Bond, how did this collaboration work?
I guess the first thing about collaborating is that our strengths and weaknesses are different. So Tanya is really a kind of a plot maker. It's kind of like Tanya is a chess player. I think Tanya understands a lot better than I do how a story works in these very deliberate moves. And so since our strengths and weaknesses are different, we can help each other out and kind of cover each other's backs in that way. So we trade a complete draft back and forth, and Tanya will put all this stuff in it, and then I'll say, oh my God, look what's happened, you know, and I'll put stuff in it, and hopefully Tanya says, oh, this is good, not, oh Lord. But you just have to see. But I think it takes a lot of trust. You know, I think you have to trust when you're doing something with someone that you'll like what they do and you'll be surprised by it.
How does it feel to be the co-author of the only book endorsed by the Zora Neale Hurston Trust, not written by Hurston herself?
It's such an honor. I think it didn't really occur to either of us until the book came out that we were so closely affiliating ourselves with the legacy of, you know, a larger-than-life personality, one of the finest women of letters the 20th century produced. And I'm kind of flabbergasted and humbled by this idea.
And also, Max, what's really exciting is that Lucy Hurston herself is here, Zora Neale Hurston's living heir. Do you want to have her come over for a moment and ask her what she thinks about the book? Lucy, can you come over?
Hello.
Here you go.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Excellent.
This is Lucy Hurston.
The Hurston estate is extremely pleased and honored and humbled to be affiliated with this fine piece of work and these dedicated young scholars. It's such an honor to have somebody do such justice to a representation of Zora's work and to reach out to a different segment, a different portion of the marketplace, and introduce a younger generation to Zora, filling a desperately needed void in literature for young children and helping them to grow up with respect for the contributions of Zora Neale Hurston, getting them ready for her later work. Finely done.
Oh, thank you.
Well, Ms. Bond, Ms. Simon, thank you for granting me this interview. It was a pleasure meeting you both.